Let's dive into the ancient book of Hosea. Now, it's filled with some really powerful, sometimes even shocking imagery. But when you get right down to it, at its heart, it tells this one single profound story, a divine love story about a nation's relationship with its God. And that's really the question at the heart of the whole book. It frames everything not as some dry historical account, but as this intense personal marriage drama. On one side, you have God, the faithful husband, and on the other, you've got the nation of Israel, the unfaithful wife. It's a metaphor that makes this ancient story feel incredibly personal and raw. You know, every love story has a beginning, and for God and Israel, theirs began with this really tender, loving covenant. You can think of it like the vows of a marriage, or just that deep, deep affection a parent has for a young child. You can really hear God's voice here, looking back with just this father's fondness. He's remembering the very beginning of the nation, its infancy, when he rescued them from slavery in Egypt. This wasn't a relationship of equals. It was born from God's protective, initiating love for his chosen son. And the way the book describes this early relationship, it's just so specific and gentle. God wasn't ruling with some harsh iron fist. No, it says he taught Israel to walk, like a parent holding a toddler's arms. He led them gently, with bands of love, not with chains. He healed them, he fed them, and he delighted in them, like a weary traveler who suddenly finds sweet grapes in a barren desert. This was a bond built on just the deepest, most nurturing care. But like any tragic love story, this foundation of love, it gets fractured. Despite God's incredible faithfulness, Israel turned away. And this led to a profound and painful betrayal that just broke the very heart of their covenant. Hosea has a name for this betrayal: spiritual adultery. And that's the core charge in God's case against Israel. They went whoring from under their God. Not literally, of course, but by giving their devotion, their trust, and their worship to other things. Things like lifeless idols, especially Baal, and also the military power of foreign nations like Egypt and Assyria. And this right here, this gets to the very heart of the problem. It wasn't just that they worshipped other gods. It's that they took the very blessings that God had given them, the grain, the wine, the prosperity, and they offered them up as sacrifices to a false god, Baal. They actually credited him with their good fortune. It's a complete and total misdirection of gratitude. This wasn't even a clean break. Israel developed what the book calls a divided heart. They tried to have it both ways, right? They kept up some rituals for God, but their true devotion, their real passion, was given to idols. But in a covenant relationship, a divided heart is an unfaithful heart. And for God, that was completely unacceptable. So from here, Hosea makes it crystal clear that actions have consequences. Israel's unfaithfulness wasn't just happening in a vacuum. Oh no, they were planting seeds that would absolutely, inevitably, grow into a bitter, bitter harvest. The book uses this incredible agricultural metaphor. Just think about it for a second. What is wind? It's empty. It's chaotic. There's no substance to it. By chasing after idols and foreign alliances, Israel was literally planting emptiness. They were investing in nothing. And what happens when you sow the wind? You reap the whirlwind, a destructive, violent storm. The consequence was going to be exponentially more devastating than the initial foolish act. Their empty pursuits would yield a harvest of total chaos and destruction. And the book just piles on these vivid descriptions of what that harvest of unfaithfulness looks like. Israel became like a cake not turned, burnt and useless on one side, but raw and uncooked on the other. Their so-called prosperity was fleeting, disappearing just like mist in the morning. Their corrupt dealings produced a kind of judgment that was like poison springing up in a field. And ultimately they would be exiled, becoming like a discarded pot that nobody wants anymore. Now, it would be really easy to see this as a simple story of sin and punishment. You do bad things happen to you. But Hosea shifts the focus to something so much deeper: the emotional turmoil inside God himself. This isn't just a judge passing a sentence. This is a loving father experiencing a deep, profound heartbreak. You can almost hear the anguish in this question. God is lamenting that any attempt Israel makes at being good is completely superficial. It's temporary. It vanishes as quickly as the morning dew. Their repentance isn't real, and it breaks his heart, because what he truly wants is a real, steadfast relationship. And this reveals this central tension of the entire book. On the one hand, God is the loving father who so tenderly taught his child to walk. But on the other hand, He is the righteous judge who must act against their rebellion with the ferocity of a lion. His love and his justice are in this painful, painful conflict. God makes it absolutely clear that Israel brought this destruction on itself. He says, "O Israel, thou hast destroyed thyself." But then, in the very next breath, he adds, "But in me is thine help." Even in the middle of their self-inflicted ruin, God is still the only possible source of rescue. And that is what leads us to the final act of this divine drama. Because it's not just about betrayal and consequence. At its very core, the message of Hosea is a powerful, persistent invitation to come back, to heal this broken relationship. And the book gives a clear, practical roadmap for how to return. Stop sowing wickedness and start sowing righteousness. If you do that, you'll reap mercy, but it requires action. Break up your fallow ground. That means doing the hard work of plowing the hardened, stubborn soil of your heart to make it ready to receive God again. It's a direct, urgent call to seek the Lord. This right here, this might just be the most important verse in the entire book. It's one that Jesus himself would quote centuries later. God clarifies what he is truly after. It's not empty religious rituals, it's not sacrifices or burnt offerings. It's a changed heart that shows mercy to others, and most importantly, a genuine relational knowledge of God. And so, the story comes full circle, right back to that metaphor of marriage. After all the betrayal, all the heartbreak, God makes this absolutely stunning promise. He doesn't just offer to take Israel back. He offers to start over, to betroth them to himself forever. It's a new covenant, one that's not built on their performance, but on his righteousness and his loving kindness, a promise of a love that just refuses to let go.